and good luck. And welcome back to Good Luck with Gino. I'm your host, Gino the Ghost, and you're locked into episode 147 of the fastest growing podcast in the world. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit the like button, save it to your device, subscribe to the show, send it to a loved one or an arch nemesis or an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, or they, them. When you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead on over to YouTube, right? And you should be watching on YouTube. Isn't that right, Gengar? Isn't that right, baby Gengar? Isn't that right, Forbidden Art Japanese Sabrina's Gengar, first edition? Yeah, we got a banger with us today. If you're watching on YouTube like you should be, tap that like button ever so delicately, but then smash the fuck out of that subscribe button and grease up that algorithm by leaving a comment because, well, you're an oil man. You'll see that I'm wearing a Pistons Jaden Ivey jersey today in honor of the Detroit Pistons clinching the number 1 seed, in the East. And that's the only reason I'm wearing it. No other reason. No other reason to rock the Jaden Ivey jersey today. No, we're going to be talking about it. I know we're going to be talking about it, but not yet. First, my brothers and sisters in Christ, I want to wish you a happy Easter. Or should I say a happy Easter? Yeah. And now, a Christian reading from our president this morning. Please bow your heads. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it, 3 exclamation points. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. M dash. Just watch, all caps. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. You know, last year on Easter, J.D. Vance killed the Pope. And this year on Easter, Trump is tweeting Allah Akbar. You know, maybe there really is a war on Christianity. And the call's coming from inside the house. Inside the White House, that is. You know, if Obama tweeted, praise be to Allah, on Easter Sunday, Fox News would just explode. The building would simultaneously combust. Dude. I hate to get into politics so early on the show, but Jesus Christ, literally, right? And I don't use Jesus Christ's name in vain when I say that. The least troubling part about this tweet is him tweeting Allah, or praise be to Allah. He didn't actually tweet Allah Akbar. He did tweet praise be to Allah. And that's the least troubling part. That's the least insane thing about this tweet. Chat, is it a good negotiating tactic for the president to be publicly threatening war crimes after pushing back the deadline week after week after week after week? His 9th final straw of the month. But this one will really stir some shit up, pun intended, because he said fucking with an apostrophe. And the apostrophe shows that he means business. He didn't say open the fucking straight. He said open the fucking straight. Because when you say fucking, there's like a little, you really emphasize that N. Which means that you mean business this time. Trump really backed himself into a corner on this one here. It's an absolute disaster because the Strait of Hormuz is currently flowing under 2 million barrels per day, which is down from the normal 20 million barrels per day. If Iran doesn't comply by Monday, and Trump does carry out this attack and destroy their power plants on Tuesday, what's going to happen is 80 million people are going to lose electricity. And that means hospitals, water, communications, all gone. Okay? Which means a lot of people are going to die, civilians. Iran will then retaliate on Saudi and UAE oil facilities. Oil will probably spike past $150 per barrel, which means that gas will probably hit over $8 per gallon in many U.S. cities. Definitely in mine. Not that I have to worry about it. Tesla boys. Then we'll probably be on the edge of a global recession because Asia's going to lose about 50% of its energy supply overnight. If he backs down and Iran does not come to the table, and then he just doesn't bomb them, like he said he's going to be doing for weeks, if he backs down again, Trump will truly be the boy who cried wolf, even more than he is already, and every future threat will feel even more empty. Iran will keep the Strait of Hormuz restricted. Oil will stay above $100 as the new norm. So it's really a lose-lose. I think the only thing we can hope for is, I mean, in a perfect world, they get a fucking deal done, but we know how good Donald Trump is at that. We obviously are going to hope for B as opposed to A, but time will tell. We'll find out, We'll find out. We'll get more into this later when we get into GNN, but, just on this Easter Sunday, another example of Trump being a performative Christian. Just insane behavior for the leader of the free world in a Christian nation, apparently, according to MAGA, to be tweeting this out. It's insane. So we've got this type of performative Christianity that Trump does. But our main story this week is about the more common kind of performative Christianity. And yes, this is why I'm wearing the Jaden Ivey jersey. That's a perfect segue into our main story. The sad tale of Jaden Ivey. Now, if you haven't been following, or if you're not a sports person, even if you're not a sports person, this is pretty much global news. It became a political story. NBA guard Jaden Ivey was waived from the Chicago Bulls this week after going on a homophobic rant on Instagram Live in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm going to play the clip if you haven't seen it. This is Jaden Ivey in his car. This is from like a 45-minute Instagram Live rant in which this is like his fourth 45-minute rant of the day, I want to say. Here it is.
The world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that you man, this man is crazy?
Yeah. So post that video and gets waived. The Bulls let him walk. Before we get into that more, I want to just talk about Jaden Ivey a little bit. This story is really sad. I'm a diehard Pistons fan, okay, and was a big fan of Jaden coming out of college. I was a believer after his slow start. I was a believer, when he couldn't play fucking defense. I was a believer when his three ball was ass. I was a believer, and he started getting his shit together, and he was scoring more, and he started averaging like 16 a game, and his three-point percentage was climbing, and he looked very good in that latest season on the Pistons. And then I was at the game when Cole Anthony dove at his feet for a loose ball and shattered his leg at LCA. His knee pretty much fucking exploded, right? And I still believed during his rehab stint that he could bounce back from injury. But upon his return back to the Pistons, after sitting for a full year, it was obvious he was not the same. He had clearly not only lost some explosiveness, but the fearlessness to drive to the lane that made him so hard to defend. He lost that quick twitch. He kind of he didn't quite have it when he got back. And it was clear that the injury was still nagging. So the Pistons traded him, we thought, for that reason alone. Traded him to the Bulls, who are rebuilding. They are among the worst teams in the NBA. We got a role player for him. And we were all very sad to see him go in Detroit because it was obviously kind of like, damn, couldn't quite put it together. The injury kind of fucked him, you know. Little did we know behind the scenes that Jaden Ivey was pushing his religion on his teammates and saying some really weird shit to reporters. You know, he had kind of started, there were some things trickling out that I had peeped of him just like talking about Jesus a lot in post-game interviews, which is fine. Athletes do that. Athletes talk about Jesus. Again, and I want to be clear, very important for this segment. Not only am I a diehard Pistons fan and a ball knower, I'm a Christian. I was raised Roman Catholic. I believe in Jesus. I've read the Bible. I'm a Christian. Okay? And I've studied the Bible. So this is going to be a fun one for me. So he was doing a lot of wild shit apparently behind the scenes. He was, like pushing his religion on his teammates and saying very strange things to reporters. And, you know, you can't do that. You can't do that at any workplace. You can't push your religion on your colleagues. But that isn't even why he was let go. That isn't why he was let go. He didn't lose his job because he's a Christian. You can't go on a homophobic rant and criticize your employer and expect to keep your job. You cannot call, he didn't even criticize his employer. He said that the NBA is unrighteous and promotes unrighteousness. You can't pester reporters. He apparently was asking reporters if they've had premarital sex. Have you been fornicating? You can't do that. That's sexual harassment. That's insane. So maybe that had something to do with it? And then after being waived, he went on an unrighteous dry snitching tour. He started just dry snitching on different NBA players. First, he said this about Steph Curry.
That's why you got Steph Curry, and he not even surrendered, and y'all believe he's a Christian. Y'all believe he's a Christian because he wrote Philippians 4:13. Y'all think he's a Christian. But he cursing just like the world.
We are now almost ready to go, so please take your seats. Fasten your
Wow. Steph Curry swearing? Well, certainly he's not a Christian. Using bad words. Then he had this to say about Ant Edwards.
So I just saw a video. Anthony Edwards had said some derogatory thing to some male doing I don't even think it was initially like, I can't remember vividly what the situation was, but he called somebody a derogatory word, right? He called them the F word, but like,
Okay.
So he was like portraying that person was gay, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And so I believe the NBA fined him for it, right?
Right. So he was punished.
He said those things,
yeah.
Right? And they fined him for it. And so how is it that he said something detrimental and basically hypocritical judgment because he's not a Christian?
Yeah, it's derogatory. Right? It's like a slur almost for homosexuals. If
And
you use that word against them, they're going to be offended by it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
He got fined.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that lesson about what that meant. Yeah, he got fined. He didn't get kicked out because he said that word in the game, right? Which is a bad word and you shouldn't say it. He didn't say being gay is unrighteous and wrong morally. Why didn't Ant Edwards get waived from the team? Okay. Alas, we've arrived at the point. And if you don't know ball, you simply are not equipped for this conversation. Just listen, okay? Jaden Ivey was already a liability, functionally, on a tanking basketball team in the midst of a rebuild. He was brought on as a recovery project on an expiring deal, okay? His knee was blown out. They brought him back. Maybe he can put it together in Chicago as we rebuild our team, and it just doesn't really matter anyway as we're tanking for the draft. He couldn't put it together because his knee was not improving on schedule. Team doctors did an examination. Jaden Ivey said, the Lord told me that my knee is healed and I'm ready to go. The team doctors looked at his knee and they said, the Lord must have lied. It's not ready. You're not improving, and we're going to shut you down for the year. So they shut down his season and sent him home, which is kind of what began this whole spiral. So, of course, the team is going to then just waive him after going on a homophobic tirade. It's just not worth it for the team. The criticism that the league allows domestic abusers and other criminals to be in the league falls flat also, because those players get punished. They also get punished, harsher even, rightfully. Now, you could argue it should be more harsh, but they're getting suspended without pay when they beat their wife, and that story comes out. You know, they're not. Jaden Ivey is still getting a paycheck. He wasn't even fired. He's still getting paid. The team just was like, okay, fuck off. You're done. Here's your check. Stay home and shut up. And the nuance has escaped the building yet again. And here I am. Wait, come back. And now, the stupidest, least holy person you know is posting, well, guess being Christian's illegal now. I guess freedom of speech doesn't apply to Christians. The guy that peaked in high school, the guy that plays shooting guard for the LA Fitness with 3 baby mothers and a crippling parlay addiction, is proclaiming his support of Jaden Ivey and his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Dude, I saw a guy that I went to college with that once bragged to me, and this is a true story, about fucking 9 girls in the same week, posting his support for Jaden Ivey. This guy bragged to me. He was in a fucking frat in college. Bragged to me about, I'm at lunch at I'm in the cafeteria at lunch. Guy comes up to me. What's up, man? Oh, man, saw you perform at Sig Kai. So sick over the weekend. Dude, you're probably what, 2-3 girls that night? No, man, actually none. I just kind of went home. Oh, man. What's the most girls you've ever been with in a week? I've met this guy like one time. You know, this is a strange, I'm not going to say what I said, but he goes, yeah, rush week, 9. Wow, dude, sick. Yeah, dude, 9. All hot too. All 7s and up. Sick, man. That guy posted his support on Jaden Ivey on Facebook. And I know because my friend sent it to me and we laughed about it. Jaden Ivey was not fired for being Christian. You can be Christian all you want. Athletes do it every day in every press conference, but there is no job on earth where you can go on a homophobic rant whilst criticizing your employer and keep your job, especially if you suck. Sorry. It's not rocket science. And right on cue, he's being turned into a political prop to push the fallacy of Christian persecution. Every right-wing talking head in town is recycling the same bullshit about how, see, can't even be a Christian today. So you can go around and be gay, so you can go around and be pro-gay, but you can't be pro-Jesus? You get fired if you're pro-Jesus. What happened to shut up and dribble? Where'd that crowd go? Or does that only apply to standing up to racism? Does shut up and dribble only matter when it's something you don't agree with? What, you're against Pride Month? Dude, the stupidest counter to sports leagues holding a Pride Month is the idea that the goal is to somehow turn the kids gay. You know? The NBA is not promoting homosexuality. They're promoting acceptance. It's not hard, guys. Nobody is being indoctrinated into being a homosexual because they say a pride flag, you're allowed to wave a pride flag. Nobody sees a pride flag and goes, I kind of want to suck some dick. I don't know, something about the colors. I don't know, something about that rainbow flag makes me just want to, it makes me want to fuck a guy. These urges, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? Imagine being so fragile and stupid that seeing a pride flag is enough to turn a boy gay. You think seeing a pride flag is enough to just make a boy? If you can't see the difference between the league promoting equality and a player of that league disavowing equality to critique said league, I don't know what to tell you. Don't push your homosexual agenda on me while you push your religious agenda on them. Not everybody's a Christian. Not everybody's a Christian. Imagine if he went up there and he said, homosexuality is a sin. Praise be to Allah. Would this same crowd have something to say? Would this same crowd have something to say about Jaden Ivey? Well, I guess freedom of speech is dead. Praise be to Allah. Would the Christians have that same, would they keep that same energy? My guess is no. So look, I'm sympathetic to Jaden Ivey, not because I think he was wrongfully terminated, because that's not the case, but because I think he's lost the fucking plot of Christianity. This man is clearly not in a good place mentally right now and is lashing out at the unrighteousness of the world for his recent misfortunes. And this is the main through line of the story. The performative Christianity that whenever some shit like this happens, I got to sit through and I got to look at. And I tell you, my eyes might roll out of my head when I see it. Because you have completely lost the plot. You are preaching the antithesis of Christianity and the Bible when you say shit like that. You want to talk about the Bible? Sure. Jesus was gentle with sinners, but harsh on hypocrites, famously. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Matthew 7:3. You can't stand on Scripture when it comes to homosexuality without looping in everything else. Picking and choosing sin, interpreting it in your own way, is unrighteous. Acting holier than thou and more righteous than others is in itself unrighteous. Not to mention fucking annoying. Okay? You good with slavery? Are you good with 40-year-olds marrying 12-year-olds? There's a lot of that in the Bible that many would deem unrighteous today. Everybody interprets the Bible differently. And as a Christian, you don't get to pass judgment onto others for how they interpret it. You don't get to sit here and tell one group of people that they're unrighteous and their sin is worse than your sin because it makes you uncomfortable. Jaden Ivey's mother was the head basketball coach of a women's basketball team. Probably didn't know that. So he's been around homosexual women his whole life. His mother has coached and mentored many. Jaden Ivey also admitted in an Instagram Live, one of his long Instagram Live posts, something really fucked up and sad. I won't post it on here, but he said, I was molested as a kid. You think that might have something to do with it? It's just, I can't stand the lack of critical thinking skills sometimes by my brothers and sisters in the church. And I don't want to look, I hate to share this good word on this Easter Sunday. I feel like we're in service. Not your typical Christian service today. And if this is your first episode, you're like, is this a Christian? Is this a religious podcast? No. This is more about we're talking about the culture. We're talking about commentary. It's kind of political. But the hypocrisy of of the self-righteous Christian is exhausting. Because speaking of hypocrisy, you'd be shocked at the overlap of people defending Jaden Ivey and Donald Trump's Easter message. Praise be to Allah. And now that we've come full circle, it's time to get even more political. I'm not going to do that, though, because, that's more political than I like to even get. We normally leave the politics for the most trusted source of news and the lead correspondent of that station. And then, of course, is Gino Bori, the lead correspondent over at GNN. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off over to him. Gino, can you do me a favor real quick? Can you tell me what's going on in the world right now? Welcome to GNN, your leading source of news, politics, and this week, budgeting. And now your host, Gino Bori. Good afternoon. I'm your host, Gino Bori, and this is the news. All right. God, what a week. What a week. Where do we start? Ding dong, the witch is dead. I know I said that when Kristi Noem got fired, but this week, Pam Bondi is out of here. See ya, bitch. Purr, purr, purr. Pack her up. Smoking that Pam Bondi pack. Get her out of here. U.S. Attorney General, should I say former U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been relieved of her duties. Now, we aren't sure if her husband has a pair of silicone tits buried in his closet, but just like Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi is thrown under the bus of this failed administration, and it is beautiful. One thing I do admire about Trump is his quick trigger finger to hang his sycophants out to dry, no matter how much ass-kissing they do. It does not matter how much Trump dick you suck. He'll still throw you out the window. At the first sweat. Her replacement? Just Trump's personal attorney. Yeah, no, nothing conspicuous about that at all. Just Trump hiring his personal attorney as the attorney general overseeing the United States. Dude, don't make such a big deal out of it. Don't make such a big deal out of it. It's not a big deal. And good news, everyone. He says the Epstein Files are already settled, so there's nothing left to see. And something tells me that's why he was appointed. But the bad news for Trump is that Pam Bondi still has to testify in front of Congress, despite losing her job. She won't tell the truth anyway because she'd be at risk of perjuring herself and going to prison for the cover-up. But rest assured, she can't lie her way out of this one. She's going to jail for sure once this shit show is over. So eat shit, Pam. Kash Patel, you're next. Pete Hegseth, you're next. And it's been a rough week for Pete Hegseth. Man, Pete. Uh-oh. Better reach for the flask, Pete. After firing several generals, fearing for his own job security, reports come out that Pete Hegseth was trying to invest in a different kind of security. Apparently, reportedly, Pete Hegseth attempted to invest millions of dollars into BlackRock and other defense companies just days before the U.S. bombed Iran. So, yeah, not great. Not great. Do you know how morally corrupt you need to be for BlackRock to take the moral high ground? Do you know how morally corrupt you have to be for BlackRock to be like, sorry, we can't take your money. This is too corrupt for us. Yeah, surely you understand how the person in charge of coordinating military spending and airstrikes and military operations having a vested interest in how much we spend and how much we bomb and how many bombs we need and from where, you understand why that's a problem, right? You can kind of get the conflict of interest. I don't need to spell out the conflict of interest for you there, do I? The level of corruption is unmatched. Every day is a new low. It's too bad that Pete couldn't get that investment off because Trump just proposed his new defense budget. And it starts with a T. T for Trump. Yeah. So let's talk about this defense budget. I would put the pitties on, but the rare limited edition teal woods to match the teal Pistons jersey, the Pistons throwback jersey, it's just too good. I got to keep it on all episode. I got to make sure every viral clip people get to see the fit, you know? We had a very viral clip this week, guys. We did it. Guys, we did it. We went viral again. Guys, we touched an M. Also, are you kidding me? Check me out, chat. Yeah. Yeah, good luck. Get mogged. We're looks maxing. Anyway, I touched an M this week, but Trump wants to touch a T with this defense budget. Trump is seeking to pay for his new $1.5 trillion military budget by cutting the following. You ready? Buckle up. $15 billion in roads, bridges, and infrastructure projects. Over $10 billion in scientific and medical research funding, cutting the EPA budget in half. $10 billion in housing. $9 billion in funding for public schools. Over $1 billion in grants for farmers and community programs. You know, he wants to save the farmers. Good thing the farmers voted for Trump. $5 billion in public health programs, mental health services, and disease prevention. Billions of dollars in purported daycare funding. And speaking of daycare funding, Donald Trump had this to say about America paying for anything.
Because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection.
Yeah, how are we supposed to take care of all these things? How are we supposed to take care of the American people when we have to bomb a country in the Middle East for Jeffrey Epstein? How are we? Be for real. Be so fucking for real. How are we supposed to take care of healthcare and pay for and give money to all these programs? All these programs. I'm trying to fund my war. And you want to talk about programs? Programs? We're talking about programs? Allen Iverson, boys. Daycare? We're talking about daycare? Not a war. Not a war. Daycare. Not a war. Healthcare. We're talking about healthcare? Wow, look at all these basketball political analogies. I mean, I'm on a fucking roll today, baby. Pistons clinched the East. I'm on a roll, baby. Take a sip of this unbranded water. I'm losing my voice. Can't have that. I got a big day in the studio this week. Yeah, I mean, so, you listen to a clip like this and you think to yourself, well, wait, isn't this the exact opposite of what Trump ran on? Of course it is. Of course it is. The whole presidency has been the exact opposite of what he ran on it. This whole presidency has been one big fell for it again award. It reminds me of this clip from last week. You remember this clip that I also made fun of from our good friend Pete Hegseth? You remember this, right?
To that point on capabilities, Iran's an energy-rich country, could be, should be. Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money instead of investing in their people. That's why you had millions of Iranians protesting. Right. Because they felt like their quality of life didn't match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels. And they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic proportions.
Yeah. Get it yet? Anyway. Look, hopefully next week's GNN episode is more of the same and not World War III is in full swing and the economy is collapsing because we committed a war crime on Iran and bombed the country back into the Stone Age. Prayers up. Good luck. Look, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to go ahead and transition into everyone's favorite segment. That's enough drama. That's enough politics. You know, that's enough war talk. We're going to get to everyone's favorite segment. And that, of course, that's the FOH HOF, the fuck out of here Hall of Fame.
Everything he touched go crazy. Crypto punkin' baby. LA to Vegas, catch him in your city, better hide your main bitch. Good luck, baby. Good luck, baby. Good luck, baby. Show about to start soon. Good luck, baby.
Welcome back to the Good Luck Show and the FOH HOF, the fuck out of here Hall of Fame. Our first inductee is brought to us by a tech billionaire doing the most, just one of your typical weekly tech billionaire insane quotes. I feel like every week on this show, we've got some AI bro tech company CEO just pretty much admitting to being a terrible person. And this is no different. Here we go.
And then the last one was petroleum-based food products. I think the only way to solve obesity in America is to allow anybody to eat as much as they want of anything with no self-control or changes to their physical activity whatsoever. You start with long-chain hydrocarbons, oil. It is the perfect building block for everything. You can build tires, glues, gels. You can build anything out of it. And so if you're going to try to make a fake burger that tastes like a fake burger and feels like a real burger, why would you start with plants? You wouldn't build tires out of plants. You wouldn't build gels out of plants. You wouldn't build rubber out of plants. So why would you try to make something that has many of those same properties out of plants? Because plants suck. So if you could make synthetic foods out of petroleum derivatives, you could make foods that have largely the same characteristics as real foods, but have 0 calories because your body's going to process them. So anyway, I decided against that because it turns out the FDA completely bans this idea. It's completely illegal. And by the way, another thing about petroleum-based food products, you can recycle them when you're done with them. And people don't like that idea either. They don't like the idea of taking what comes out one end and putting it back in the other. And so that was why I decided against that. I said, this is going to be too much of a marketing problem. People aren't going to accept this. And also the FDA literally says doing this is a crime. I would have to convince them to allow the food industry to pivot to making not food with no calories. And so I decided I was going to work in the national security space.
A lot to unpack here. First things first. You wouldn't build rubber out of plants, he says. Rubber literally comes from plants. So, rubber burgers, petroleum burger, putting the silicon in Silicon Valley. This guy literally just got on the show. He said, we should be eating oil. I'm an oil man. I'm an oil man. We should be eating oil-based foods. I mean, this is fucking insane. Yeah, because oil is such an abundant resource. Surely this would be great for the global economy. Tell Iran to open the fucking Strait of Hormuz so Trump can eat his rubber cheeseburgers from McDonald's. Open the fucking strait. We need more oil food. Moms can pack their kids PB&J sandwiches. That, of course, is petroleum butter and jelly. The jelly is also petroleum. Palmer Luckey, you know, this guy, Palmer Luckey, dude, I've seen this guy for years. He's just been saying batshit insane things like this. First of all, hey, Palmer, put some fucking shoes on. What type of psychopath do you have to be to wear barefoot? You're just wearing barefoot? You're rocking barefoot on a panel? Put some shoes on. Look how nonchalant I am. I'm a cool rich guy. I don't even wear shoes. Absolute fucking nerd. Is it too late to stuff this guy in a locker? Can I give this guy a swirly? Of course, this guy is Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law, and that's a true story. Of course he is. Just another day, another tech CEO paying to be on a panel so he can say, how can I make a ton of money being evil? In this example, he is talking about a evil fantasy that he once had. His original dream of getting rich off of pure evil. If I had it, I just can't. These guys are unbelievable, dude. Yeah, I had a dream of loading petroleum jelly into food and making boatloads of money to just harm a bunch of people. But sadly, that dream was illegal, so I started a company that builds robots to kill humans instead. Nice. You know how big of a fucking psychopath you have to be to make the FDA the good guys here? Jesus Christ. Next video. Jaden Ivey's going to love this one.
That's what white people is. Y'all great at being. You don't think black people can be? No, it don't sit on them right. Black people they have to be loud and boisterous. Yeah. Because that demon doesn't fit on them. When it comes to the demons on white people, it sits on white people like a tailor-made suit. And when you see black people be the same evil, you could look at them and see the demon on them because it doesn't fit right.
First of all, why are we censoring the word gay? I if you aren't watching captions, you're gonna be like, what the fuck are they even talking about? They're censoring the word gay. Like gay is a bad word, which is what this guy's saying. Let's watch it again if you're listening back home and not watching, which first of all, fix that. They're talking about why white people can be gay and black people can't be gay. Here, let's watch it one more time with that context.
That's what white people is. Y'all great at being. You don't think black people can be? No, it don't sit on them right. Black people they have to be loud and boisterous. Yeah. Because that demon doesn't fit on them. When it comes to the demons on white people, it sits on white people like a tailor-made suit. And when you see black people be the same evil, you could look at them and see the demon on them because it doesn't fit right.
Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't sit on them right. Kind of like your teeth don't sit in your mouth right. When that demon sits on them, I'm just imagining all my gay black friends having an evil gay spirit demon hanging over them like Jujutsu Kaisen. Just like hanging over them on their shoulder. Just a gay demon. Just a big gay demon spirit that talks like Lil Nas X. Yeah, sorry black people. We wear our demons a little bit more subtly and stylishly. Yeah, sorry, black people. Us white folk, we know how to slide into a nice tailor-made demon suit. Sorry, black people. Our gay guys are a little bit more natural. You know? This guy's clearly never heard of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. So gay black guys can't be subtle? Explain P. Diddy then. Go ahead. Explain all the DL rappers that I know. Oops. Go ahead, explain it. Shows a photo of Anderson Cooper, but not Don Lemon. This is a special genre of homophobia that I'm not familiar with. This is like a new level. As a white guy, I don't really know about this level of homophobia. It's like black Israelite homophobia. This is like the final evolution of Jaden Ivey. This is like homophobic Christian Charizard. Jaden Ivey was one Instagram live away from saying exactly this. Yeah, I mean, this is insane. Fix your fucking teeth, buddy. Okay, last video. I need to take a sip of on-branded water before this one. This is a special breed of insanity. Buckle up. Here we go. This woman is interviewing an alien.
So it's with a very heavy heart that I ask you, how do aliens feel about the Epstein Files?
Oh, it depends what kind of alien you ask, to be honest. But those of us that love humanity are devastated. We hate to watch our brothers and our sisters face their shadow self in such a potent way. But we also want you to stay strong because, unfortunately, this is just the beginning of the unraveling of the shadow. There is much more to come.
Do you have any words of wisdom on how humans can navigate this?
We are inviting humanity now to create a new way, to dissolve the old structures that no longer work, and to change it through positive action, through positive intention, and remembering that love is so much more powerful than fear. Please, please remember the power of your heart, and please do not lose hope. Humanity and Earth are going through a birth. You are in the birthing pains, and it might seem messy and ugly and painful and scary, but there is beautiful, beautiful life at the end of this. Love is your superpower.
You know, it really depends on the alien. It depends if you ask a Republican alien or a Democrat alien. Because, you know, the Republican aliens will say, well, why didn't Biden release the files then? You know, a lot of aliens, and in fact, not even so much about politics, a lot of aliens are actually pedophiles. A lot of perv planets in the Milky Way. Okay? A lot of pedo aliens. Even pedophile aliens are heaven sent. Martians too. The age of consent is a lot different depending on the planet. For example, on Venus, the age of consent is 400 years because time moves differently. I aspire to be this delusional one day. This is when you see a video like this. This is when you know you've reached the end of the algorithm. This is the algorithm punishing you for too much screen time. You only see a video like this after 1 a.m. while lying in bed getting blue light poisoning. You know, your eyes are just like fucking bloodshot red because you've been doom scrolling for like an hour and a half. You were supposed to go to bed and get a good night's sleep. And instead, you're still fucking scrolling. And the algorithm's like, okay, well, that's it. There's nothing else I can show you. Here's schizogram. Here's this video. Here's a woman interviewing an alien. I don't know what's more absurd, her interviewing this alien or when Glenn Beck interviewed AI George Washington. Both equally delusional. What AI software is responsible for this? Also, why did the alien make that sighing noise before answering, you know?
So it's with a very heavy heart that I ask you, how do aliens feel about the Epstein Files?
Oh. The most annoying fucking alien ever. Dude, do all aliens have this annoying ass voice? Oh my God. Do all aliens sound like Gypsy Rose? If all aliens sound like this, I'm going to be fucking pissed when they invade us. Take me to your maker. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Do you really sound like that? How did this woman get this alien to sit down for this podcast? Even aliens are starting podcasts now? What the fuck did this alien say? This is just the beginning of the unraveling of the shadow. Ugh. Just the beginning of the unraveling of the shadow? I feel like I've been talking to my shadow self for months now. Love is your superpower. Love is your superpower. Sounds like a sounds like a fucking Cartoon Network character. Love is your superpower, Morty. Rick. Sounds like not Morty, but from Rick and Morty. Love is your superpower. I mean, those are profound words to end on. Thank you, schizophrenic alien girl, for such a heartwarming message on such a terrible fucking week. I think we'll end the episode on that note. Love is your superpower. Actually, no, that's not true. One final word from our alien friend on this Easter Sunday. And yes, this alien has an equally annoying fucking voice. They're from the same planet of annoying voice-speaking aliens.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter!
It's the same woman's account. Because of course now my algorithm's like, Oh, you want more alien content from schizophrenic alien girl? Fuck, I'm so mad I couldn't keep a straight face.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter!
Jesus Christ. This godforsaken voice, dude. All right. Lock in. We're almost done. You can do this, man. You can do this. We can get through this. And we're not going to edit this out because we believe in transparency on the Good Luck Show. And now, a message, an Easter message from schizophrenic alien girl. Here we go.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter! You probably know Easter is the day that Jesus rose from the dead. It's so exciting! But what you might not know is that Jesus was an ascended master who understood the power of quantum mechanics. So when his physical structure was decomposing and dying, he was able to store quantum information in an energetic field and then rematerialize his physical structure into new consciousness, into new physical form. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you have that power within you too. Jesus was a role model of what is possible when you tune in to the higher vibrations of the heart. Have a good day! I love you! Jesus loves you!
You know, if Rocky from Project Hail Mary talked like this, I think Ryan Gosling would have fucking killed himself. He would have opened the latch and just released himself into the Dude, I didn't know that aliens were also Christians. Who knew? Dude, is Jaden Ivey an alien? All right. All right, we're going to end the episode there.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter! You probably know Easter is the day...
Hi, humans! I should have started the episode like that. Fuck! Hi, humans! Happy Easter! I want to thank you for tuning in on Spotify or Apple Music. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the show, save it to your device, give it a 5-star review, would you? And leave a nice little comment for me. And then you're going to go ahead and rewatch the whole episode on YouTube because you should be watching on YouTube. Isn't that right, Gengar? Right? Isn't that right, baby Gengar? Isn't that right, Sabrina's Japanese Forbidden Art First Edition Gengar? If you're watching on YouTube like you should be, tap the like button, smash the absolute fuck out of that subscribe button, and grease up that algorithm by leaving a comment because, of course, you're an oil man. And so, I want to thank you for tuning in to Good Luck this week, guys. I got a jam-packed week ahead of me, but I will deliver another banger for you next week. And until next week, as the world continues to crumble into a dystopian hellscape and we just, commit fraud and bomb children and push Christianity while we're doing so, at least we know that the aliens have our back. Good night. And good luck.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter!
Oh, oops, sorry. That's the wrong clip. Good night and good luck.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter!
I gotcha. April Fools. It's still funny. April Fools doesn't really work when the whole world is going to shit. Okay, just joking. Good night and good luck.
Hi, humans! Happy Easter! You probably know...
Okay. Fuck off. Good night and good luck. Play that fucking song, baby. What's the name of that show again, Pikachu? It's called... With who? That's me.